Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining us today because we're going to unpack something that, well, honestly, it weighs incredibly heavily on almost all of us. If you're tuning in, you probably feel that immense, constant societal pressure around success, money, and your personal value. We all kind of carry around this heavy anxiety, right? Always looking over our shoulders, comparing our bank accounts, our job titles, and our possessions to everyone else's. Well, today, we're diving into some source material that completely dismantles that anxiety. We're going to explore a concept called the invisible architecture of true wealth. It's a totally different way to look at what it actually means to be rich. And I promise you, by the end of this explainer, you're going to walk away feeling a profound sense of clarity.
So let's kick things off with a pretty simple but honestly kind of dangerous question. Is wealth just hard work? We've all heard the common narrative, right? I mean, it's drilled into us from a very young age. The story goes that effort always, flawlessly, equals riches. And on the flip side, struggle or poverty is just the result of laziness. But I want you to really stop and think about that for a second. Is that actually true? Does the amount of sweat you put into your day perfectly correlate with the number in your bank account? No way. To really answer that, we need to shift our paradigm entirely and start unlearning some deeply ingrained societal assumptions.
All right, Section 1. The myth of meritocracy. We are constantly sold this societal myth. It's this super neat binary equation where rich perfectly equals hard work and discipline, and poor seamlessly equals laziness and bad decisions. It's a really convenient story because it gives us this false sense of absolute control over our lives. But reality tells a very different story. The source material warns us explicitly. Do not think that all the poverty, ill health, and difficulties in life are purely due to bad decisions. Sometimes people are just hit with trauma and incredibly difficult circumstances that are totally out of their control. Conversely, a great lifestyle isn't solely discipline. Richness actually involves so many invisible factors. Recognizing this reality is the absolutely crucial first step to freeing yourself from the guilt and the judgment that society pushes on us.
Moving on to Section 2, the wrong measuring stick.
So if that old equation is completely broken, how are we supposed to measure ourselves? Well, the source text offers a really profound answer. One must not measure one's worth by the properties they own or the job they are doing or the salary they are earning. Just take a moment to let that sink in. You can almost feel the relief in those words, can't you? You are not your property. You are not your job title. You are not your salary. We spend literally so much of our lives exhausted trying to inflate these three specific metrics, convinced that if we just get a bigger house, a better job, or a higher salary, our inherent worth as a human being will finally be validated. But the source material is telling us right here to drop that measuring stick entirely. It is just the wrong tool for the job.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is this. Worth does not equal wealth. Tying your personal value to visible, materialistic metrics is a losing game. It's a game with no finish line. If you measure your worth by what's visible to the neighbors, you're always going to find someone with more and you will always feel lacking. We have to completely sever the connection between our intrinsic human worth and these superficial financial metrics. But if we throw away the old measuring stick, what do we replace it with?
Which brings us to Section 3, the invisible architecture.
Okay, we're going to rebuild your worldview right now. When we look at the true architecture of wealth, money, and property, they make up just one very small slice of the pie. The source text absolutely acknowledges that visible assets matter. We're not ignoring reality here, but the far bigger, way more crucial elements are things like relationships and family, health and wellness, mindset and skill sets, and community and service. These invisible things play a far bigger role in evaluating your true wealth than just cash. Think of it like a giant building. The paint on the outside, the money, might look really nice, but it's the invisible architecture, the steel beams inside the walls, like your health, your community, and your mindset, that's what actually keeps the building standing tall during a storm.
Just to really deepen that contrast for a second, visible wealth includes your money, properties, salary, and job title. Basically all the things you can put on a resume or flex on social media. Invisible wealth, however, includes secure savings, a resilient mindset, meaningful work, your health, and your relationships. These are the assets that don't depreciate, right? They don't crash when the stock market crashes. This invisible architecture is the whole shebang. It's what actually sustains you long term.
All right, Section 4, your true wealth portfolio.
Now that we've got the theory down, how do you practically catalog your actual holistic net worth? Well, here are the exact invisible metrics from the source material that you should be focusing your time and energy on building. Number 1, your savings, creating that invisible safety net. Number 2, relationships and family, the people who support you unconditionally. Number 3, Health and wellness, the physical and mental vitality required to actually enjoy your life. Number 4, meaningful work and the service you offer, the contribution you make to the world that goes way beyond just drawing a paycheck. Number 5, your mindset and skill sets, your internal resiliency and your ability to adapt and learn. And finally, number 6, your community, that essential network of human connection around you. Let me tell you, if you are rich in these 6 areas, you are incredibly wealthy, totally regardless of what your tax return says.
So this brings us to a final, really concrete definition. True wealth is a measure of value determined primarily by invisible assets, like health, relationships, mindset, and community, rather than visible property or salary. This right here is the major cognitive reframe we've been working towards throughout this entire explainer. When you adopt this definition, you actually take your power back from those heavy societal expectations. You stop measuring your life by what is visible to everyone else, and you start cultivating the invisible assets that truly matter. I want to wrap up our explainer today by leaving you with one final, pretty provocative thought. If we took away your money and property today, how wealthy are you? Seriously. Look at your health, look at your relationships, look at your mindset and your community. Think about the invisible architecture you've actually built. I really hope this question resonates with you long after you finish watching today, and I hope it inspires you to start investing in the invisible assets that make up a genuinely rich life. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this fascinating material. Keep learning, keep growing, and start building your invisible architecture.